Welcome back to the Arbitrary YouTube channel. In today's class, we'll learn how to make this beautiful corset tutorial. It's a corset with crisscross neckline. In another video, we have learned how to draft this, so we'll be learning how to sew this in this video. If this is something you would like to learn, kindly stay tuned to the end of this tutorial. Thank you. Okay, so now the next thing is for us to start with the sewing. So if you don't know how we're able to achieve this pattern, we already have a video on how we drafted this on the channel. So if you have not checked that out, you may want to check it out so that I can proceed with the sewing, because this video is basically for sewing. So now this is the pattern. This is the center front, the side front, and these are our cups. So like I said earlier, I've already fused my wording to my cup area. The next thing is for me to start joining them. So you arrange them the way they're supposed to be. So this is for this, while this is for this. I'll go over to the sewing machine now and take this together and then join it to form my cup. Then I'm going to take the center front and the side front also, and then I'm going to join it by the dot line so that I can insert my cup into this space that we'll have for the cup. So now we don't need to join anything on the back. Remember, we'll close the dart before we cut it on our fabric. So now I'm going to go over to the sewing machine and join this, and then I'll bring it back to show us what we have. Okay, so I've gone ahead to sew the cup. The next thing is for you to open your stitches and iron it really flat. So this is the first one, and you can see how well it is standing. You can also use a ready-made bra cup for this, but this is fine for me. Also for the main bodies, I've gone ahead to join them together so you can see the space that I have for my cups now. I just need to insert them inside this space that I have. So I also did the same thing for the lining. I just cut the lining exact same way I cut my main fabric. Then I went ahead to join it. These are the cups for the lining also. So I'm going to go ahead now and iron everything and then bring it back for us to continue. So I've gone ahead to iron this. You can see how flat it is looking. You make sure you open all your stitches like this, and this is what the cup is looking like. I went ahead to open my stitch for the cup and then iron it both in and out, so you can see how beautiful our cup is formed. The next thing now is to insert this cup in our bodice. So I'm just going to pin this now, and then I'll take it to the sewing machine to sew. So remember that we have a dart here, and then we have that dart line on our cup also. So I'm just going to make sure that I match these two darts together. So after matching the darts, I'm going to pin it like this, and then I'm going to pin it along each side. So you just match your main bodies with the cup and then you pin. So they have to match once you cut them together the same way. So you see what we have here, it just has to match, because if you drafted it correctly, and like I said, the pattern is already on the channel, so you can just watch that to guide you on how to draft this. So I've done this for this side of the cup, and you can see what I have. So now this other side also, I'm going to take it and then I'm going to match it and pin like this. I'm going to pin along this line, and then I'm going to make sure that they match. So once they match here, you'll know that you are correct. So I'll just pin everything along like this, make sure nothing is packing, and then I'm going to do the same thing. So doing this will just assure you that you're on the right track and you don't want to lose anything. So it's better for you to just pin it and see what you have first. So after pinning it like this, I'm going to go ahead now and do the same thing for the other side also. So this is what this is looking like. You can see that it fits into this perfectly. So we'll do the same thing for this side, and then we're also going to do the same thing for the lining. So this is what the lining is looking like now. Also, I've also ironed it and opened the stitches. This is for the cup, and this is for the main bodies. So the main bodies is also ironed just like we did for the cup, and then we have opened the stitches also. So I'm going to insert this cup into it also, and then after pinning it round, I'm just going to take it to the sewing machine and then sew on it like this around. So after doing this, I'll bring it back to show us what we'll have. Okay, so I've gone ahead to sew it, and you can see what we have here. So you just need to reduce this seam allowance, or you notch it so that I can relax well, and you can see that the meeting points just matches like this. You just make sure that you match them together when you're sewing it. So this is for the main fabric, and this is for my lining. So it is cut the same way, exactly the same way. Okay, so I'm going to be using them to turn out each other, but before I do this, I want to insert my net that I'm going to use for the crisscross at the neckline. So I'm using this sky blue net because of the sky blue that I have on my pattern. So you can use any color of your choice, and this net has like a design, so I just like it. So the length that I'm going to be using for this net depends on how wide how wide the place you're going to place it is. So you just need to take that measurement on your clients, or you take it to the mannequin to do your fitting. So now basically it just comes from the side seam, then all the way to around the dart area here, because it's before it goes to the neckline, and then intertwine. So you can just cut as long as maybe 40 or 60 inches, so that I can trim off the excess that you may have later. So the width of this is going to be around 6 inches for me. 6 or 8 inches is fine by the length that you need. So I'm just going to exhaust what I have here. So I'll cut this half now so that we can continue. So I have about 8 inches width here. So this 8 inches here, I'm just going to gather it like this, and then insert it on my side. Okay, so I'm just going to insert it on. You leave allowance for turning your fabric, of course. You leave like an half inch before you start gathering it, and then I'm just going to gather it into like 2 inches, and then fit it here. Okay, on both sides. I'll do this for the first side, and then also do the same thing for the second side, and then I'm going to fit it, so that by the time I finish fitting it, I'm going to bring in my back panel for the main fabric and the lining. So now for the main fabric, I'm going to bring in the side of my back panel, and then I'm going to place it on this. After sewing this, I'm just going to place it on it like this, and then sew my side seam allowance. So I'll do this now and bring it back to show us what we have. Okay, so I've sewn it in between. You can see that I've sewn my front and back together, and then my mesh is suspended in between. So I'm just going to tuck it in now and bring in my lining. Okay, so I've sewn the lining also the same way, and then I'll go over to the sewing machine, match everything up, and then sew the lining all round. So I'm going to match everything up like this, and then I'm going to sew it all around, then leave a small space to turn it out. I hope you understand that we want to turn it neatly. So I've placed my lining against my main fabric, right side facing the right side, and then I'm going to pin it and sew it all on the upper part. I'm going to sew it on the center back also. I'll sew it on the hemline, and then I'm going to sew it here and leave small space to turn it out. So I've gone ahead to sew it round. The next thing is for you to just notch it round, and then from the small hole that we left here, I'm going to turn it out. If it's not big enough, just need to make it bigger so that it can bring out everything for you. So this is what we have so far. So after notching it from this small hole, like I said, I'm going to turn everything and bring it out. Okay, so I've turned it out now, and this is what it looks like. You can see how neat it is both in and out. You can see that it is neatly finished. So now the next thing is to create our crisscross, and to do this, I'm going to bring in this lower end, that's the hem line of this crisscross now, and then I'm going to go ahead and tack it to the bodice. From this point, you can see how I'm bringing it like this, and you can sew it or tack it up to where you have your dart line here. So I'll take it to the sewing machine now, and then I'm just going to hold it there, or we can just hold it with our pin up to that point. So I'm doing it for this side, then I'll move to the other side also, and you can see that we are bringing it towards the front, not the back. So I'll do the same thing. I'll fold the hem in and then bring it towards my dart line, where I have the dart line here also, and then you drag it, make sure it's not packing anywhere, and then you're going to hold it with your pin again. So now at this point you may want to bring in your client for fitting so that you can see how this fits perfectly on them. But I'm just going to explain this using a mannequin for her. Okay, so now I've attached this to my mannequin, and this is what it looks like on the back. I just held the zipper allowance with a pin. Okay, so now after tacking it, now on this front area, remember this is the chest line, this is the body, this is the corset. I'm going to bring in the two nets together, and then I'm going to cross them, like just interchange them anyhow you want. So now depending on the amount of mesh you have to work with, you can actually double your mesh so that it can be thicker depending on the results you're going for. So you can see I'm bringing each of this side now, and then I'm just crossing them as much as you want. So you just place this crisscross at the center point. It can be on the lower part, it can be on the upper part of the neckline, anywhere you want it to be. Once you have it where you want it like this, you take it to the back and then you arrange it well. So you hold it very well so that it doesn't lose its form. Okay, so once you have it like this and you are okay with what you have, you can even hold it temporarily with a pin, although you don't need a pin for it. It's going to stay on its own, but pending the time you're taking it to the back, you can just hold it down with a pin like this. So after holding it with a pin, I'm going to turn it to the back and then bring each of these straps. So that's why I said the length depends on what the area you're going to be placing this. So you arrange it very well, and then you measure where it stops. So you can see that this is where it stops. So I'm going to cut it around here, and then I'm going to sew it here. So is it that way? You can just loosen a bit of this and tuck it inside your seam, or you just put it inwards and then stitch on it depending on what you want. So I'm just going to hold this with a pin now, and then I'll go over to bring the other one also, and then I'm going to arrange it. You can see this well. So after arranging it well, I'm also going to take it here and then hold it with a pin. So now I'll take this to the mannequin so that we can see what it looks like properly. So after holding it, you can now remove the pin that you used to hold this. You can see that it is staying in place on its own. It doesn't need a pin to stay. So now I'll take it to the mannequin so that we can see a proper view of what this looks like. Okay, so this is what a corset looks like now. Like I said, I just have this little mesh to work with. If you have more mesh, you can just gather or even double it as much as you want so that it can be a bit full compared to what we have there. I can see how lovely this is looking. This is our corset, and this is the crisscross that we have using our mesh. It's a very simple tutorial and it's really beautiful. I hope you enjoyed making this with me. If you enjoyed it, let us know in the comment section. Like, comment and subscribe to our channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.